Welcome back to Dubbzi Bricks for another Building the Tantive in Lego update, and we've managed to get to the Lego store to get some more parts so we can work on the huge engines of the Tantive. Now, they didn't have everything I was after. There was a fair bit that will be coming in useful. So in this box here we have got a whole load of 1x4 bricks, and we've also got some 2x4 black plates, so they're going to come in very handy for the display stand. These are going to be for the engine housing, so we can do the snot brick walls. In this box here, I think it's pretty much the same. Oh, we also picked up some of the white 6x8 plates, as we're going to be covering the whole vessel with those plates before doing the finishing touches with tiling and greebling, etc. In this box, it is mainly the 2x4 bricks, and these are going to be used for the display stand again. So fingers crossed we've got enough bricks now to get the display stand all finished. And then in the final box here, it's a mixture of 2x4 bricks, 1x4 bricks, and a selection of 1x8 plates. And I think there's some 1x6s in there as well, and also some 2x6 plates. So all of the plates are just to help with the structural side of the engine. Anyway, without further ado, let's bring the model over to the table and let's get started. In the last update, we positioned all 4 engines on the top here and started the housing around here. And I was a little bit concerned about the positioning of the outer engines here. I wasn't sure if I'd brought them over far enough. So what I then ended up doing was manipulating the ring part on the back here by pushing it more over on these support beams. And then that helps a little bit. However, I'm still not convinced I've got it right. And the more I look at the diagrams, the more I think that this here needs to be over by a couple of studs. And the white section here is pretty much the same size as the cylinder bit at the back. And then you have a grey section on here which overlaps both of them. Now at the moment, this is going to be protruding by about 2 studs, I reckon, by the time I've got the shell on there. So I am going to have to, unfortunately, move the engines over. It's not too big a deal. This side panel here pops off easily enough. I can carefully remove the brickwork so I can easily put it back on. And hopefully it's just a couple of Technic pins I'm going to have to remove from the bottom here, bring it over, and then clip it all back together. So let's start off by doing that, and then I'll check back in once I've done so. And that's the 2 outer engines all moved. It hasn't taken too long at all. One thing I am doing, I'm just amending this section here, as I only had a 4x2 wedge plate on the end here, and I think it's done with being a little bit bigger, so I've just changed it over just a little bit to allow for a larger wedge. Now on this end here, I haven't built the slope in, so I thought whilst I'm redoing everything, moving the engine over, I will start to put those details in now. And that took a lot longer than I was anticipating. For some reason, I couldn't work out how high I had the engines beforehand. So trying to get the Technic beams in there for the added support was proving quite difficult, just getting them lined up. As you can see, there's some going at different angles there, but it's nice and sturdy now. I could almost pick the mock up by those 2 engines. Now the engine here, that's been shrunk in width by a couple of studs, and it's looking a lot better at that size. And now that I've got all of that done, I can now build the other 3 snot walls ready for the plating to go over the top. Now the 2 side engines, they are sagging a little bit at the end there. Now I hope that is just purely down to a couple of bricks come loose underneath it. It feels like that's what the problem is, but obviously I need to make sure that is the case. The last thing I want is for these to be sagging the opposite direction once this is flipped up the other way. I am really beginning to wonder how I'm going to be transporting this around to any exhibitions, because it is just so heavy now, and it's probably only got about half the bricks on there that it's going to have. So yeah, I'm hoping I can take this to Bricktastic. Was one place I really want to take it to, but yeah, we need to make sure that it is going to survive the journey. But anyway, that's enough talking. Let's get back to building the snot walls around the engines. And that's another engine housing all ready for the plating to go on the snot bricks there. And I thought I'd just show you this. This is how much the engine is sagging at the moment. That should be up like there. So there's a fair bit of give on that at the moment. I'm not worried about it though, as we've got these support beams here, which are going to give it plenty of support. They're just not properly connected at the moment. There will be a wall going down here, so that's going to help push that up, and there's going to be another one going down here to help with the opposite side of it. So I'm pretty confident that once everything is all put together, that is going to be rectified. Now I could put a Technic beam going through to connect this one here to that one there. That would help pull it up. However, I don't particularly want to do that because that area there should be pretty much clear, with apart from the greebling and other details. So if I can get away from doing that, I would certainly like to do so. The other thing as well is I've put a beam connecting the two engines together. The snot plate that's going to be going on here, I'm going to have a hole in it, or I'll have to build around it, or do several builds, which I don't really want to do. So I'm going to just keep my fingers crossed that it is going to work out how I'm anticipating. Now we've got the start of the support here, which is for the legs. That's to help clip the two sections together, because this is going to be tiled and there'll be another one the opposite way up to get the snot technique on there. And that's been nicely pressed up against the wall there. So I just got to do the same on this side. So I'll plate it off, then I'll just force a couple of bricks down there just to keep it all pressed against the wall, so there's no chance of it popping apart. Anyway, let's carry on building the other two of these housing units up, and I'll check back in once I've done so. And that's all four of the housing units built up, and it took a couple of attempts to get them right. For some reason, I had this one at 23 studs wide, then that one at 24, and then that one at 24, and then I realised, actually, they all need to be 23. But I have them at 23 studs wide. It's the same width as what I believe the cylinders are going to be once I've finished putting the skin on them. But the other good thing as well by having it at this 23 is the gap now is 8 studs between each engine, whereas before I think I had 2 9s and a 10. So it's worked out really well this way. So yeah, happy with how it's all coming together now. What's also good is that leg there has already started to have the studs going in the correct direction for the support stand. So the studs are now got the anti-stud here, and I'm going to do this same on here. So I just need to find some black tiles out, tile it, then carry on brick building it from there, and then fingers crossed we'll be able to get that all sorted. Now what I want to concentrate on now is trying to find out if I've got enough plates to do all 8 sides. Fingers crossed I will have, and then I'm going to start putting some support beams in the back section here ready for the plates to go on there. Then I've just got to work out how I'm going to do the slope down on here. I'm going to add that part once I've got the sides on there, because hopefully I'll be able to find a way of connecting it, get the exact size of it and resting it on there. And look at that, what a difference it makes having the white plate on there. It really is starting to come alive and give me a really good indication as to the pure size of this. And yeah, fantastic, loving every second of this. Now, I could have gone for any colour with these plates, because it is just filler plate at the end of the day. All of this is going to be covered over with either tiles, greebling, bricks, all the finer details will be going on that. However, I thought until I get round to doing that, because it's going to take quite a while to do, it was better to have it in the colour that it's actually going to be long term. It's just going to be more pleasing to the eye as we go along. So yeah, that's why it's white at the moment. Now, the next thing I need to work on are the legs, and I'm really concerned about the structural side of this. How much weight will the legs be able to take? Do I need to put more legs in there? I'm pretty confident with the structural build that I've got here, but obviously only time will tell. I am wondering whether I'd be better off putting additional legs in the back of these engines. I can still get my hand in there. I could still build more inside it. That won't be a problem. If I am going to do it, now's the time to do it. And also, do I want to go for legs on the side engines? If I do, it's certainly going to help with the tilting of the engine. As I mentioned earlier, I'm not worried about that. I'm sure that's going to sort itself out further down the line when I start dealing with this section down here. But is it worth just putting an extra leg in? I could tuck it right over to this side. So that's just something, again, I need to think about now, basically. Now, with these legs here, once I've finished building these up, I can then finish doing the tops of these. As the slope is going to be going around this leg here, the slope here is going to be going around the leg there and around there. So yeah, that's another thing we need to work out. Also, how tall do I want this to be standing off the table? At the moment, it's probably about 10 to 12 studs off the ground, or will be. And I could half it to about 5 or 6. It doesn't need to be miles off the ground. As long as it's off the ground, that's all that matters. So again, it could help with gravity as well. The lower down it is, less chance it's got toppling over or being knocked over. So lots of decisions to make with this, and yeah, just need to make my mind up now before we go much further with it. But yeah, so satisfying seeing all that white plate on the build. And I've been thinking about this all night and a lot of this morning, and there's some potentially big changes happening to this build. I'm not confident I'm going down the structural side of this the right way. I think it could be much better. And if I do want to make the changes, which happens so often on Dubbzi Bricks, as I'm sure you're aware, I think now is the time to make that decision. Now, at the moment, we're building in both directions. So at the moment, the studs on the bottom bit here, they're facing down, studs up the top facing up. And for those that haven't seen a previous update or the update that was in, what we've done is we've got the Technic brick here. It's resting on a plate and a brick. This plate and brick are actually attached to the bottom of this Technic brick. So this brick's pointing down. This is then connected using an L-shaped Technic beam that's 4 long. And there's dozens and dozens of them inside, keeping it all clipped together. The legs, they're connected all the way through, and we've got engines built in to the centre of the build. Now, what I'm beginning to wonder is, would I be better off having the stand built on the table and then having the first frame so the studs are actually pointing up with it? The reason I've gone through it the way I have is I wanted to have the studs on here so I could add all of the details. I also, when I made the decision, I wasn't sure how I was going to be building these housing units for the engines. But this technique, because I'm plating over everything, the studs can be in any direction because you're using snot bricks. So I can just push it up against it. So I can actually have anti-studs on the bottom of the ship, pointing towards the bottom. I can tile over the anti-studs using the tiles which go on the bottom of plates. That'd be absolutely fine. There's no necessity whatsoever for me to have the studs pointing in both directions. So what I'm wondering is, would I be better off building the stand, then having this first big plate here sitting on top of it with the studs pointing up, and then building from there? At the moment, we've got a wall under here. That's wall's not actually connected to any studs on there. Gravity's keeping it in place and a couple of other techniques. But we could do a much stronger job of that. So yeah, it's a big decision. It'd be probably take me about 3 days, I reckon, to get the build back to this sort of level. But it could be a game changer. It could make this so much stronger, and it could save a lot of time and a lot of headaches further down the line. So yeah, I do need to work out whether or not it's something I want to do. The work I've done on here it's taken a lot of time, but it's not all going to be wasted. So the panels I can pop off. The bricks on the back here, I can just remove those, and then the entire wall here will come off in one piece on all 4 of those engines, so I can build them back on. The engines that are attached to this, that will be absolutely fine. So this wood, what I can do is once I've disconnected the L-shaped bits in here, that entire top section will come off with the engines still attached to it, and then those engines will then be the top of the vessel rather than the bottom ones. So I just need to make the bottom engines now to go on the bottom of the ship, basically. Hope that makes sense. Another thing as well, this wall here that's going on to hide up that filler brick on both the front and the back, there was going to be a section where they were just rested on top of each other, whereas I could then build this as one solid wall. So again, it's adding to the strength of the build. So it is something I'm thinking is going to be worth my while doing. I just think it's just going to give me that little bit more strength to the whole structure. And with the display stand, I'm not confident that these 3 legs are going to be adequate for such a humongous build. This thing is, I know I've said it so many times, it weighs so much. So what I can do is make it that one of these engines is pretty much a whole leg inside of it, have 2 of them. And I might also bring them over further to the side. So yeah, it's just something I'm considering at the moment. I'm not going to go any further forward with the build until I've made the decision on there, and then I will sort of like start stripping it down. So that's pretty much where we're at with this build at the moment. Now, one other thing I do think I need to do is have a rearrange of the Lego room. So at the moment, this is my work area. This is where I build pretty much all my mocks, my Tantive, my Onyx, Cinder, the buildings for Gotham City. And then I've got down this end here is where the Tantive basically stands whilst I'm not working on it. And I think what I'm going to be doing is moving all of these sorting trays down onto this wall, and this will be my new build area. And then the Tantive will be permanently sat on this table. So I'm going to need to move my computer down as well, but I think that's going to be a much better way of doing it. That way I'm going to have the Tantive actually set up how it's going to be. Now this table is, I think it's about 2 meters, 2.5 meters long. So it will almost take the length of the Tantive. Depth wise, it's absolutely fine. So that should be good. And it also enabled me to take better photos of the Tantive when it's all set up. So yeah, just need to decide now on whether or not we go for the changes to the structure of the Tantive IV here. So that we won't be doing any more building in this update, unfortunately. I want to have a good think about it, just sleep on it another night, and then decide whether or not to bite the bullet and go for these changes. Now, obviously, this video has come out early. I normally set my videos up to come out on the 1st of the month for the Tantive. However, I'm going to be spending a lot more time, and I am spending a lot more time on this build. I'm having so much fun with it. I just want to spend as much spare time as I can with it. So the updates are hopefully going to be going up to a month on the Tantive IV. So it's not going to sacrifice any other videos. That is one of the reasons also that the Onyx Cinder video was out earlier this month. It was something I was aware of doing. So ideally I would like to bring the Tantive videos out on the 1st and 14th of the month, and the Onyx Cinder will probably be either the 7th or the 21st of the month, or there or thereabouts. And Gotham, it'll be weekly updates as per normal. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the update. If you have, please remember to give us a big thumbs up. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content on the channel. And if you know anybody else you think would be interested in building the Tantive in Lego, if you could share the channel with them, I'd really appreciate it. Anyway, thanks for walking by, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.